It is the 8th of the 10th, 2013. This is your radioactive reality. Start with E&E News. Nuclear expert, quote, rods in the spent fuel pool may have melted, breached during the explosions, and their contents may be in contact with groundwater, unquote, at Fukushima. Well, this is a bullshit piece because even the NRC documents stated, as I put it up in a video 2 videos ago, and I will attach a link to the Patrick Penry video I remixed. The NRC's documents, the number 4 fuel pool and the number 3 fuel pool did burn in the early days, and plutonium in aerosol form was detected as far away as Lithuania. Okay, so this has already happened, and that's that spike that's going around the globe every 40-something days. U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission, about to stop operating, will run out of funds this week. Quote, we sincerely regret these actions are necessary, unquote. And some scientists are worried. So the nuclear cheerleader group is going to run out of money because the government's got a big horse and pony show going on right now in Washington, D.C. over the budget. And with the fiat currency the way it is, and people are running away from the U.S. dollar when they're trading oil, these things tend to happen. So fasten your seatbelt, folks. High radiation levels found at possible Olympic sites. Japan professor, radioactive materials have spread throughout Greater Tokyo. Regions remains in emergency situation. How do you evacuate 48 million people? They've been living in a hot zone for over 2.5 years. Japan expert, second explosion was more like a bomb at Fukushima. Spent nuclear fuel flew 30 kilometers away. Pellets were collected by the military. Very strange materials like europium were found. They should have evacuated out to 300 kilometers. And again, how do you evacuate 300 kilometers of the most densely, or one of the most densely populated countries on the earth? It just wasn't financially feasible. Chernobyl destroyed the Soviet Union economically. It wasn't capitalism, and Fukushima is destroying Japan as we speak, and the Pacific Ocean, and we all know the story. Blah, blah, blah. New report shows support braces completely severed on 400-foot tower near Fukushima reactors. Now that's the vent tower in between 3 and 4, I believe, where it was damaged during the initial quake, and it is so radioactive that they can't get near it to fix it. And these stacks shoot that radiation out of these buildings straight up into the atmosphere. And where does that air go? Canada and the United States. Alarming mass die-off of starfish in areas along Canada's Pacific coast. They're disintegrated. Now there's just goo left. Appeared to melt. Single arms cling to rock faces. 2 feet still moving. Similar reports as far away as California. It wasn't just nuclear fallout in the water released during this big tsunami. There were a lot of chemicals involved up and down the Japanese coast. Entire industries that were washed out to sea. No telling what's doing this to the starfish. New concerns about radiation levels in fish from Pacific. Quote, these numbers are just staggering. They're just getting started. Contamination up considerably. Quote, it's a major event worldwide. And again, they're cutting the budget and they're not spending any money, and we'll never really know the real truth of this. Typhoon tracking towards Fukushima to hit the area in 2 days. It's due to hit on the 10th. Threat of mudslides, flooding, soaking rainfall predicted for days after the storm. You got to remember, what do these typhoons, aka hurricanes, do to the sea bottom along the shorelines of these land masses that they hit? They turn it all up. They turn it all up. And so we continue, and they pick it up and dump it on the land. So I definitely stay out of the rain. Conflicting reports over why water injections halted at Fukushima reactors. Backup system now in use. TEPCO claims power failure. Regulators say the worker hit the stop button. I've seen several stories on the fact that some worker accidentally hit the stop button and shut down the cooling system. Concern over small quake triggering another crisis at Fukushima. Silly for the government to claim leakage is contained. Scientists questions if food chain is contaminated. Far from the plant. We all know it is. They're still trying to push this produce on the world. These tanks are built on hills and they're not level. And they're slapped together metal tanks, not designed for high earthquakes. So yeah, Fukushima's just a blistering sore on the ass of the earth. After recent lies, Japan Prime Minister admits help needed to contain Fukushima disaster. Well, it's not just stuck in the bay, Mr. Prime Minister. Senior official warns of new problems to come at the plant. And again, it's an ongoing insanity match of insane, stupid people trying to cover up and save their precious paychecks. International scientists, Japan experts must be allowed to report health consequences of Fukushima. The official data is all denial and criminal. Pressure to downplay the true impact of the disaster, and nobody's looking what the effects of radiation is doing, especially here in the United States as well. And they're going to blame it on everything but the nuclear industry and General Electric. That's right, General Electric owns. Official government documents Fukushima to endanger North Pacific marine ecosystem and health of human beings? Question mark. We know it is. Very important to monitor radiation exposure level and assess effects of radiation substances. We got Godzilla to look forward to. Leaked Godzilla trailer hits webs. Features voice nuclear pioneer. Quote, now I become death, the destroyer of worlds. Photos during filming show reactors, quarantine zone, evacuations. The insanity continues. Helen Caldicott, Fukushima much worse than Chernobyl. Very true. Nuclear engineers say there is no end in sight to this. I predict they'll never be able to fix it. I'm with you, Helen. I'm with you. Professor, we know all sorts of radioactive leaks are happening at Fukushima. It's not being documented. Situation is extremely unstable. Everybody is just staggering to figure out how to deal with this. And the lies is just so thick, it's insane. The NRC is covering things up. And again, I will post a link to Hatrick Penry's YouTube site. He'd be well advised to watch some of this man's materials. He's going through this stuff. And he's finding all kinds of criminal things going on. They think, another Helen Caldicott, they think China Syndra has happened once or several of these reactors. They think nuclear engineers don't know what to do. No way they can contain it. There's nothing to do. I think they'll never clean it up. Never. And again, they're just going to slap concrete over it and call it good, I imagine. Who knows how the show will go. Japan professor, I won't eat any seafood. I've changed my entire diet. Refuses to buy any fisheries product from any market anywhere in the country after bringing a detector to store and learning actual radiation levels in the food supply in Japan. And here in the United States, it's a lot more lax. It's a lot more lax here in the United States. And again, the government's shut down and nobody's testing anything. No telling what's in your food right now. Excuse me. Japan professor moved family out of country after finding radioactivity levels contradicting official claims was safe. Quote, government doesn't want anyone to talk about radiation from Fukushima. Unquote. And they can't cover up what is leaking out of Fukushima. Post-Fukushima horror, severe impacts on oceanic environment, an unpredictable amount of damage to Pacific. Fundamental to reproduction of humans, Japan simply dumping nuclear waste into the sea. They're burning it in open incinerators and releasing it directly into the air. The insanity continues, and nobody's doing anything about it. Fukushima disaster is the worst case of nuclear contamination in history. It's a crisis for all humanity. building up to something much worse? Question mark. Time will tell. And again, we're just getting started, folks. We're just getting started. That's about all I got for you today. Of course, if I missed anything, attach your comments below or send me a message. Enjoy while you can, everybody. I am.